Right,
How did romance?
right,
But I
right.
want to tell the brothers before we get started, you better do right, or it may revert back to the original
You're a mess, B.
Valentine's Day
Well, good
shooting.
morning, everybody. You listen to In-Text News Radio,
I'm just
reality
saying.
radio. Everybody can be a star. My name is Clinton
Oh, we're
Paris,
on
and you got my
Facebook too.
man,
Yeah.
Sweet Pete Edwards here in the house, and we're just happy to be back here for another Saturday. Pete, you did allude to Valentine's Day, and I agree. Listen, man, fellas, handle your business, man. You know this is a
That's
great.
it.
You if you for those calendar watchers, you got all your cues. You still got a minute. When is Valentine's Day's Monday?
Monday, but it starts. The fair is in town.
Went
and,
there last night, man. Let me
and,
look. I ate. We had the vinegar fries. We had a Polish sausage. I don't eat meat, but I got the Polish sausage, all the onions. Then there was a lady out there. She was serving collard greens, and she said, "My pudding tastes like ice cream." Black lady there off the side. So I went down and we got some of that pudding. And we've probably spent over $120 on food.
It's worth it. I'll be out there next Friday on school day.
Don't you going out there on school day?
Yes, I go every. This is probably going to be my last year with the little grandson. He turns 12.
What time you
couple
going
weeks.
though? What time you going?
I get because the little kids, the big kids, if the kids are under 16 and they come after 6 o'clock, they got to have a parent.
Really?
So I get there at around 11 o'clock. And then we just spread out, and then we go from 9 to 11 to 6. Try to win a couple of teddy bears. I noticed he talked about what he ate, but he didn't say whether he won any.
No, man, I didn't give any. No, I didn't give away any money though. And we were talking about that because that's something cultural that we do here in the state of Florida, where we're located. The fair is in town. It's just one of those cultural events. It's my daughter. She came in town from Tallahassee to go to the fair and to go to cheerleading competition. Just want to say that her high school team from last year, Strawberry Quest. I was talking last year about they won their 7th state champ. Well, they won their 8th this year, 8 years in a row.
They're down at the convention center.
No. This is over in Orlando. They on Wide World of Disney.
Right,
you can see on ESPN3. It'll be posted live. But Strawberry Crest is going back to the national championship again. So
well, that's great. They have a good. I'm expecting. I know the parents. You got to support our kids. It's district and regional basketball. In Touch is a family newspaper. We support families. We support kids and all. And so you got to go, brothers and sisters, you got to go to these events. Like the high school playoffs for basketball are coming now.
Yes.
All right. Softball. It used to be in Hillsborough County. You wouldn't see a young black female playing softball, but you see them all over the place now.
Right.
So we got to support them and everything. And I know, Daryl, before the show is over, we're going to talk about his Jazz on the Line. It's coming up with BK Jackson at Just Elementary and all.
Yeah.
But before we get into the topic of the day, did you win that hat at the fair?
This is not a hat. This is not the kind of stuff you win. It's like you think something. Oh, God. What do you mean? Listen, I saw this
now,
hat.
Facebook.
Listen, when I saw this hat, man, I had to get it.
Facebook.
This hat has so much character.
Who looks bad? listen. Now, my Facebook friends. You can see me as a retired player wearing a hat like that.
Retired.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the show because I know you want to get on me about something.
No,
so let's get right into it.
For the record, I do not, and just stop trying to get people to email me and complain about how I talk to you.
Well, send you some business. That's what they need to do.
Right? Yeah, they not calling. You talk about support Pete. But listen, Pete. So you sent me. We were just exchanging messages this week, and you mentioned something about Republicans doing a better job with African American voters registration, that kind of thing. About talk to me a little bit about what you're talking about.
Here's what's happening across the country. I mean, they're recruiting, even in Michigan. They have a guy, John James, I think his name was, ran for governor twice and barely missed it. He was going to run for Senate. They've convinced him to run in a district that's predominantly white. He's a Republican because it's part of the Republican Party we always talk about rhinos, Republicans in name only when we think of liberals. But to me, the rhinos are these extreme right-wing Republicans and all like that. They're thinking neo-Nazi type of thinking of going back to pre-Civil War. But throughout the country, the Republican Party is actively recruiting women and men of color and men, black men, African Americans, to run for different offices. They have a new strategy now, and part of that strategy, believe it or not, Clint, is underneath is the balance and ease out the Trump strategy.
What is it the Republican Party right now is constituted?
Well,
can present to African Americans that would be enticing to them.
If you're okay,
and I'm talking today's. I'm not Republican that we look and see on the media, maybe talking or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Mitt Romney, a Tim Scott, a Marco Rubio. What are they saying that is attractive to African Americans?
You gotta look at local politics. Always starts locally. And what they're doing in the states where there's a high percentage of black voters, positive thinking Republicans realize that African Americans are pretty more conservative in some ways as far as governmental involvement, trying to maintain small businesses and that kind of stuff.
You see that in the current presentation from the Republican Party?
I see that in the future. Now,
but hold on. So, but if they're recruiting now, right. What are they coming up to? They're coming up to me right now and saying, "Here's why I want you to, in the 22 election, to vote Republican." What are they saying?
Well, what they're using is that, hey, we know that you're not extreme left or center. We know that you want a better infrastructure, even though they didn't vote for it. We know that you want to bring your businesses back. We know that what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of African Americans wanting more decision making in school choice. That is a big issue. It was like that in D.C. So when you use those kind of topics like that drive home a family foundation, family decision making and all, that's the key. Now, when you talk about people of color, you have a lot of people of color who may not be African Americans, but they're people of color, and so their disposition in advance is conservative thinking, not extreme. But I give you a good example: the black woman who is the lieutenant governor in Virginia. You know, she's not African American born. She from Jamaica somewhere. But part of her campaign was that she was for the Second Amendment, had a gun. And so a lot of people believe in Second Amendment rights and all. So that's helped her won. Now, if something was to happen to Youngkin, the governor of Virginia, she'd be the person in charge. But when you look at her position on things about less governmental interference and family matters and all like that, she fits the thinking of just right of center conservative. She fits the thinking of black women who they want viable, reliable service from government, but they don't want them all in their business. They want school choice. And so you see that, you look at the guy, John James from Detroit area, and that's what you're seeing. But people of color, it's a thing now. Now it's being used unfairly by the right wing to have people falsely think that we're okay with the right wing agenda, and we're not. But I think there's a part of the Republican Party that's right now, particularly among the younger set. If you recall, a few years ago there was an article how a lot of African Americans under 40 was leaning towards Republican, and they were going to go that way until the extremists took over. And so they're sitting waiting to take back over, but they're sitting waiting and voting as independent. So they may be registered Democrat for the purposes of voting, or they may be registered independent, but in their hearts and minds, as far as small business, taking back over the community, things like that, that's what you see. And the final example is the mayor of New York. This guy is really a conservative black Republican with the pretext of what conservatism was. So when you see him talking about, hey, I'm going to bring back the squad because we can't have people just snatching purses, knocking little kids off the block and that kind of stuff. But Eric Adams, because of his tenure with the police department, and he was considered a very militant angry black man when he was with the police department because he wanted a lot of reforms to treat the brothers right now. Okay, so he's really a Republican.
Well, I wouldn't say he was angry. He just was fighting for.
They saw it as angry.
Yeah,
right.
You're right.
But he hasn't forgotten the pain that he went through to push these reforms. So that's why you have it. You seeing it. You're gonna see it more. I think in the next year. We're actually going to see it. I think it's going to start up in the next 3 more months here in Florida. A push to have more people of color, and that's where it hurts from an African American standpoint.
Well, all right, let me jump in.
Go ahead.
Let me jump in. Let me line. First of all, Pete, that would just be wonderful in that perfect utopian world you talked about. But let me throw this out at you. When I hear Republicans are going to put forward more African American candidates, I think Tim Scott. That's what I think.
I hope not.
I'm just saying that because he's what they're promoting as their prototype.
But people are seeing through him.
I got that. And that's what I think. That's what kind of gets me kind of suspicious and concerned about this utopic, viewpoint you've thrown out about the ability of the Republican Party to recruit. They can get Tim Scotts. You can get some Tim Scotts in there, but what is a Tim Scott going to give you when it comes to your ability to appeal to the actual voters? They can get guys like Tim Scott to run and people of that ilk. You mentioned the lady up in Virginia. There's a reason she's lieutenant governor, not governor, because she's unelectable. That whole that position he took. Now let me tell you some cold words, Pete. You fell for them. Like Republicans try to do to the African American community all the time. You say stuff like, well, African Americans want more choices in schools. You're right, we do. But the code to school choice means the choice for other people to take their kids out of schools where black kids go and put them where black kids can't.
Well, okay.
That's code word for that.
Part of that. The brother that ran for governor in Florida, I can't think of his name.
Gilliam.
He lost 18% of African American women voters on the school choice issue alone. It's not that we don't recognize that they want to segregate the schools in a way, but what we also realize that we have the impression that we can have charter schools run by black people and all that can better teach our kids, particularly from pre-K to, let's say, 6th grade. And so
hold on. Let me see. You said charter schools can better teach our kids?
A lot of black voters, particularly black women voters, they voted for this mean man we got as governor because they wanted a choice of where they send their kids to school. And Gillum made a mistake in assuming that, okay, just because I'm a black man, y'all going to vote for me. But he avoided the kind of issues. That's how DeSantis got the 18%. Now, whether he'll get it the second time around or not, I don't know. But I can tell you, being on the street, a lot of parents feel that smaller, independent schools and all, even if it's all black, will help their kids develop educationally from preschool to 6th grade. And so that's why. Let me I don't necessarily agree.
But you're right about that, and that's just messaging. And I think the Republicans have done a very good job of messaging that, of getting black women or whoever it may be to this idea that, okay, my neighborhood school or my community school is scoring at a lower grade, which is what the grades were intended to do, to create a sense of urgency to spur a private industry of education, charter schools, where once the charter schools in place, there's almost no way of really seeing what's happening inside. You get on a wait list and all that, and if you just think that, because let me say, Pete, there are a number of predominantly African American charter schools around.
Yes.
And they tend not to be the greater performing schools, though. Now, they tend to be more compassionate to the issues those kids are having, but they don't seem to be showing a mass improvement themselves in the actual performance. Now, the one thing I will say that they're much better at is handling the discipline of the children.
Right, and you can see it because the numbers are down with them. Even down there in Riverview, they got this black guy that's principal of a charter school down there that's been A-rated for a while.
Okay.
Okay, guy's good. He
Right.
he gets it. You look at a private school like right across the bridge, across from University of Tampa Prep. The headmaster there's a
African
black man,
and he's been there for a couple.
while.
Yeah, he's been there for a while.
And when you talk to black students that have gone there, they don't have as much tension. Let's say maybe if they went to a different type of charter school or even a couple of high schools where they feel that they only wanted them for the athletic prowess versus thing.
But that goes to the quality of the person. But getting back to this idea that
that's how you sell it.
That's one part. But getting back to this idea that the Republicans are in a better recruitment situation than the Democratic Party as we go into the midterms. Now, how do you think this will impact the midterms, though?
Well, as I said before, I stand by it, and we're going to look at the results. Black people aren't going to vote midterm. And if you see them voting, you're going to see the percentages of black voters, believe it or not, in local elections go towards more I won't say mid-level, but more moderate Republicans. You're going to see that.
All right, let's do this.
Right,
We've been told we need to take a break. When you come back, I want to talk about how this death of Amir Locke up in Minnesota might affect the midterms as well. A young man that just got killed. But hold on, before you give it a point, hold your opinion, Peter Damas. Hold it. When we come back,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, when we come back, we'll listen a little tease, and we're gonna talk about this just jazz thing. Yeah. That's happening. You OGs go out there and groove it out, though. You're listening to In-Touch News Radio.
All right.
Where everybody can be a star.
And it's Valentine weekend. Get your checkbook out.
Sing us out to the break. Go ahead, P. Hit it.
Love and happiness. Love and happiness. But if you want to hear some good Valentine music, get you some Brian McKnight instrumental music. I'm telling you.
We'll be right back.
Cuddling, chilling weather.
Making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
Ray Williams Funeral Home, providing the highest quality, professional, and caring service for your family. Call Jeffrey Rose at 813-253-3419. That's 813-253-3419, or visit him at 301 North Howard Avenue, Tampa, Florida. Ray Williams Funeral Home, for the finest care.
All right, Facebook friends. Clint, we were talking about earlier this illustrious hat that he got on. He went to Nairobi or South Africa or somewhere and got this.
Somehow that doesn't sound like a compliment.
I like that hat.
But this hat's so pimped out.
I'm telling you, all I need is a rope around my neck, a gold chain, a nice one.
Or not one of those Africa symbols, like say made in China.
To go
on the
with
back.
that hat on a Valentine's Day weekend, I'm gonna use that hat. But welcome our Facebook friends and all. And look, the newspaper's out, Clint, and we want everybody to. I will give you a free autograph.
Right.
If you go to the Jazz on the Lawn, Riverwalk STEM Academy, and Just Elementary, In Touch News and Radio, we're all big supporters over this. They got a brother, Mr. Young guy, Michael McDonald,
yes,
who started out at Lomax, and then he went to Phillips Shore. And they got my boy B.K. Jackson, who's from Tampa. So we want y'all to pay up, show up, and show an example over at the lawn at Just Elementary School. and that's March the 12th. You meet me there. If I need to autograph a second one, I will do that for free because this is a good event. I mean, really, we have to do a better job. Clint, one of the things, and I know we were talking about the Republicans taking over, registration thing, but I got to get this off my chest. I am so tired of everybody else of different colors or whatever coming into our neighborhood, and this is not the case with Jazz, of course, but coming into our neighborhood, speaking for us, doing for us, preaching for us and all, and we got talent and people who's supposed to be of leadership right in our neighborhood. Don't say a doggone thing. Something's wrong.
No. Listen, there's an attitude that you need to take about how we deal with the issues in the African American community. I'm going to give an example. I serve on a board, and while we're talking about Tampa, this applies to any community.
Absolutely.
When you have elected leaders, they have a responsibility back into the community to not promote their own agendas, but those of the community. And one of them is creating an aura of being unapologetic about your constituency. Pete, I had the beauty of serving on, still serve on a board with a local activist for decades, Sister Connie Burton.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so educational for me listening to how she dealt with our government officials, and no matter what they said, she came back to a basic principle. Now, let's talk about what this community wants. And it was really, you could just see the angst, because repeatedly we would have staff and government people telling us the great ideas they come up with, the great initiatives they want to promote. And she would come back and she would drill back down to, okay, now, here's what our community wants.
Mm-hmm.
Even after that, but the reason I'm pointing this out, if you get the right person in office who's willing to put their foot in the ground and demand that the African American community get its fair inclusion on whatever it may be happening in the community.
And that's where the Republican Party in the future is going to go.
Who's going to lead that party, Pete? Who's going to be the leader?
You got to. They're starting.
But who's going to lead the Republican Party?
I don't know from a black
I tell you who's going to lead it right now. Guess who's going to come out leading it in a minute? Sarah Palin.
I hope not.
She'd have made the move. That's what that whole New York suit is all about. She sees the window to reassert a presence that Donald Trump has now been weakened. He's been winged a little bit. He got all these legal issues, and he's just becoming more and more toxic each day. And other people, though, don't have the Constitution.
But why can't we, our community, look, Connie Burton on some issues has as much vigor or more than Sarah Palin. But Sarah Palin was accepted more by her community versus our community not accepted.
Well, she got because there was because there was a media benefit to make money off creating a situation where she could be promoted. That's what that was.
But we got to, Republican and Democrats, the people vote cross all the time, independents. Y'all know that. What we have to do is a better job of listening to everybody. And we got to, see, to me, voters registration, stand on elected officials, all of that, that's a 24/7. It's like, I think of it as if we're voting tomorrow, that we can make a difference. And we don't do that. And a local example now, they got this thing where the previous administration screwed up this contract for a Hannah Center.
Now, this is a local issue where the city of Tampa basically sole source the contract, didn't do the user bid process.
From $10 million to $100 million.
108.
Okay. Now, that was in the previous administration. Okay, so now a lot of African Americans come together and say, okay, Mayor, the new mayor, this was wrong. We need to straighten it out a little bit. Have no problem with that. But at the same time, I saw a flaw that I'm tired of us just passing it along because we're black. They come back and say, hey, we got black contractors in the whole bit, so we want our share. The mayor says,
hold on. Here's where I'm going to go to the problem with that is. Why would not the African American community representative on city council have been the one? Why are we organizations having the grassroots opposition to something of this nature. Why would not the African Americans in the administration have not been the ones to go to the mayor and say, hey, mayor, this is not right?
Well, the way they caught that, because this mayor didn't do it. By the time she got in office, the deal was set.
But those other people have been around.
Right.
These aren't new people.
But they, in the previous administration, the black people in that administration was on a short lease. Let's just call it the way it is.
Okay.
Okay, so now we got the black contractors saying, hey, they should be getting other people, which they're doing, hey, we want, and they say they're going to try to get 25 to 30%.
35%.
35%.
Minority participation.
Minority participation.
Can't do it.
All right. I don't think they're going to be able to.
You know why they
do it.
can't do it? You don't have that much participation in the general market.
Well, not only that, but it's the same thing with the third piece of this, and that's why I say we got to politic all the time. Then they come back with this third piece, says, hey, we want some money to train. And what I found out with black contractors, like any other group of contractors, they don't advertise for openings. And we got two newspapers, we got a major radio station, Internet News, all of that. But you can count under $15,000 black contractors who always asking for blue-collar blacks and all old ladies and old guys to come down and support them. But you know what?
Got to support your community.
They're not hiring our people.
Yeah.
They don't even advertise when they have an opening. I even knew a couple of contractors that said, well, I'd rather hire Mexicans. So then we got this other piece that said, okay, we want this money to train. But they can't tell you on an independent basis how many young brothers and sisters, particularly between 18 and 30.
So you need a philosophy that you function under all the time. And then when opportunity shows up, you got to be ready.
The Republicans do it all the time with any other issue. They build on it. They never.
No, they don't. You know who do? White people do that
white
because
people
they
do
are
that.
able. See, they can afford. See, Pete, we're talking about a large African American startups, first generation companies, not major corporations. And so if you have major corporations, they're in a better position to have an education department and development and HR.
Well, like startup companies, why can't we use black media to
I agree
build
with
around
you.
that?
I agree with you.
They don't do that.
I absolutely.
And then they lie about.
Well, let me say this. I'm gonna give you a great example. I'm gonna say this out here. Go ahead and get your emails ready, folks, because it happens all the time, Pete. I'll get some good, well-intended nonprofit charitable entity will call me and say, Mr. Parris, we are, we trying to save the homeless or save whatever it is, and we'd like for you to donate to our cause. We're doing good with the vet, whatever it may be, and I will ask them a simple question. I'm sorry. Can you tell me, are you one of my clients? Do you all use our services? I say, because I tell you, when we budget out for our donations for the year, we budget it to go back to the organizations and the entities that support us.
Absolutely.
And not that your issue is not a bad issue, but we don't want to get caught up in that too much. There's an education piece all around. So when it comes to this participation piece, and I'm just going to give a caveat, because all around the country, we have certain requirements to try and bring in disadvantaged minority women into opportunities by government. And the reason is the government's using everybody's tax money to do whatever it's doing. And it should fairly then give those same individuals a chance to make money from those contracts.
You bring them in, and then what they give back.
We got to work on that piece.
Yeah, but see, and
we're not gonna not do it. You can't get tired of it.
Being used, and it doesn't matter to me. And see, the way we being used with some of these companies and these so-called training programs, they're no different than some of the extreme right-wing Republicans that are using their base.
Well, everybody's going to be something. You're on a key point, Pete, I think. But when we see government not function, and my question really is the mindset of the people in whatever positions they're in, and based on those positions, how you then represent your constituency.
You build from the ground up. I mean, young people, they have caught on, and that's what this worldwide view of young people through social media, they have caught on that, particularly young African-American kids in high school now, they've caught on to the fact that they have been ripped off. They've seen their parents ripped off, supposedly on a black cause.
Stop for a minute now. I can't let you just get away with just throwing that out. Okay.
Well, they are.
Hold on, because I want to talk about. I want to flesh this out a little bit. Is it what was the word you used again? They've been
ripped
off, or and I guess we'll come back and talk about that a little bit about how the black community's been duped.
The young people, they're
young
being
people.
ripped off by us.
Because young people become old people. So.
Yeah. Well,
right.
but they need to know about In Touch and Black Media and all.
Yeah.
And don't forget, when you go to the fair with the kids next week, they're out Friday for fair. Leave the guns home. Leave the fighting home. If you got daughters that just want to come out there and fight, leave that home.
Help the engineer out. Help the engineer out. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, look at him. He's got a new hairstyle today.
We'll be right back.
Maybe he'll look good in that hat you got.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
You've been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is attorney Clinton Paris from the law office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen or sundown. 184-361 Rick. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy stay fine. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361 Rick. Call Ricky, ask Ricky is a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361 Rick. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
All right, welcome in, Facebook friends. Welcome in on a beautiful Valentine's weekend, an extended Valentine's
Man, you done promoted
weekend.
Valentine's Day too many times.
What I'm just saying to the
Yeah.
brothers that have they've had the man cave cemented off that they can't even hide out there, so you better go home and stay warm. But we want you to make sure you come, and Daryl and all of us, we're going to be at this thing at Just Elementary School, and we're going to have a good time down there. Clinton will be
Jazz on
there.
the lawn.
And look at this beautiful hat of African ancestry. This hat that he's
Now, hold on,
wearing.
man. Listen,
Well, it's a good hat.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to expand my hat.
Well,
right,
you know what
Some
you-
people have built up their sneaker collection. I'm trying to expand my hat situation.
Your coins will hold in a hat like that. You can put roses in a hat like that. You can do a lot of stuff in there. But that's what In Touch is all about, because all the brothers here, we got our individual thing going
Pete. So
on.
we got
y'all.
a couple
All
of things
let's
to
go.
get back
All right.
to. So you mentioned something about people being, what do you call it, duped or
The young kids,
kids.
the black kids in the broad-based high schools now have realized that not the older civil rights movement, but the present civil rights movement has been nothing but fake talk, and they ripped them off. And what I mean by that is that they see these so-called black civil rights people and all like that.
Give me a name of a current black civil rights person. I'm trying to frame where we are, so that I can then drill down
I tell you what they discovered. They discovered that the black woman that was involved in the Black Lives Matter movement was fake. They discovered locally the Black Lives movement was hijacked and fake.
Got it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
and then
But I don't know that they are leading any.
and then
Are
they-
they leading any initiatives though to
but the way
real
they
change?
the way they came out. So they've discovered locally here that they have no clue who are the black leaders locally elected. Why? Two reasons. One, elected officials, black elected officials, do not do a good job. And I like Orlando and some of the others, but they don't do a good job of connecting with people under 30.
All right, you
saying.
slid a little bit too far right there, Pete.
Well, but they don't do it.
Let's get back in the middle of the road. Let's get back in the
You
middle. I
gotta
heard
listen
that.
to our kids.
Yeah,
They
right,
don't.
right.
They don't.
Well, I don't know.
Your
man.
black
You know,
history. You
listen.
talk to them about black history. They have no clue of who has benefited presently.
And it's hard to
locally.
But you have to
inexcusable.
know to teach someone. You've got to know
Starts
things.
at home.
No, but for you to teach something, I'm gonna use my household. So I come out of a household that's not overly educated. My parents weren't.
Okay.
Right. So their knowledge of world affairs, government policy, history unrelated to their community was very minuscule. They couldn't tell you much about Sojourner Truth, because she didn't live in their community. And if it didn't happen during the time that they were alive, they knew very little about it. So in contrast, there was no teaching of history per se, of events and things like Juneteenth. There was no teaching of Juneteenth because Juneteenth didn't occur in their community. So there was no teaching of those things. But let me tell you what they taught, though. They taught principles. They taught values that you live by. And if you apply these values over time, they become the road, for you to navigate the rails on which you traverse through life on.
Well, that's why it's changing, Clint, with the young Republicans. If if I'm a member of the young Republicans now, it would be easy for me to recruit black students coming out of high school to be a young Republican. Here's how I sell them. You're into tech, you're tech savvy. We got the connections to help you start. You don't have to go to Atlanta. You can come to Tampa. You got to have the right monetary contact.
But will you recruit them economically or politically, though?
Well, you recruit them economically with a political spin. Because what you do is you use the political spin. But look, in Florida, it'll be another 8 years before we elect a Democratic governor, okay? Look, the money is in these programs, tech,
but why does my political position affect my economic opportunity?
Well, you have to do that in order to influence them to vote for you. We got a call. Good on this beautiful Valentine's
Man, you better
weekend.
be glad that caller came. I was just about to get
All right, caller, what say you on In Touch News? We're on Facebook Live, and we're rocking and rolling after seeing 2 Chainz and Rick Ross. Well, I didn't go in the show.
Let the caller talk,
right,
Pete. Good morning, Carl. How you doing?
Good morning. This is Carl chiming in.
Yeah.
Whatever. Y'all understand local Officer Edwards and the good attorney. My take on what the good attorney was just saying is that, I'm a man, I just got in my 60s or whatever, but then I went outside, went in the military. I was exposed to living to the politics then. But you think about all the time passed in between there, and then hitting here, hitting there, whatever. So I'm saying this to say that a lot of people just don't know they're not educated about politics and what it does for them. So, as candidates, whatever, or either that are activists inside the community, you have to give them an education of clients with politics and the benefit of them getting involved.
Well, hold on, Carl. Let me ask you, Carl. Carl? Because I know you call in regularly, you listen to the show. We really appreciate that. But what got you involved in becoming more knowledgeable about politics? Gas prices, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. And young people have caught on to that. Carl, let me give you a good example, and I want you, because I know you can challenge Clint on this. When I talk about young people,
He said he's 60.
Okay.
What do you know about young people?
But okay, look.
He said he's 60.
They're moving to they're leaving predominantly black denominational churches, moving to a lot of independent or non-denominational, whatever churches you want to call them.
But those churches are run by black people.
Some are run by
They're
black. Some
they're run by those.
white,
You got a
okay?
lot of young mega black churches
All right, now,
run by black folks.
But here's what's happening with that. They're going that way because the economics, the politics, and the religious aspect is all tied in together. And so from a spirit, which people forget that there's a distinct difference between religion and spirituality. So they're leaving to go into these other places, and then they're being sold on, hey, we can take care of you, show you how to fish economically or whatever the case may be. We got the religious aspect to use as leverage as far as voting and all of that go. We got this educational piece, and then we can help you as you deal with, which we all should deal with, one-on-one with our spirituality. So when I told Clint under 30, you seeing that movement because they tying it all in together. You young people might need help with some light bill or some food pantry and all like that. Even the mega black churches, except for maybe 2 or 3 in Tampa, they don't even reach out to try.
All right, let's see what do you say about that, Carl? Yeah, I think yeah. Mm. You know, Carl, I suspect you would agree with Pete, and unfortunately, both of y'all are just wrong on this.
I give you a good
No,
example.
hold on,
Okay.
Pete. Hold on. Let me tell you why both of y'all are wrong.
All right.
So you go to a black church, right? Miss Mabel, when she walk in the door, and you go down front, and you got to go down front and join. They don't let you just raise your hand, fill out a visitor card, submit that, and you become a member. The black church, you got to walk down front, and you got to give your profession of faith in front of everybody standing there. And whoever invited you, your mama, your auntie, your grandma, they all happy. Yo, little Johnny joining the church. We're so happy, right? And when they take you in the back, though, they immediately start saying, first of all, you're going through orientation. And you're going to work. You're just not coming up here and sit down and walk out the front. You're going to be on the choir, the usher board. You're going to work in a black church. And I'll just be frank. You got a lot of folks that are spiritually lazy. They want to think, I show up on Sunday, 9 o'clock in the morning. I sit through a 45-minute service. I look around and look at people that I think they make me feel like I'm successful and I've reached some status. I don't have to do anything, and I go back to my car. And somehow in this process, my salvation gets saved. That's why you have a lot of folks going to those churches. Now, there's a movement because my goddaughter just flew out to Oklahoma City just to go to a church service. Bunch of young folks. Multi-million-dollar facility. They rocking and rolling. Church circuit, I mean, it's just a party going on. You know, I don't know how many souls are being saved out there. But I think you and Pete are wrong. The reason that people are going to these churches is the same reason a lot of them go to these the suburb communities, to feel like they're no longer on the way up, that they've arrived.
Carl, I'll give you a good example.
Hold on. You gave us a break. Hold on, Carl. Can you stay on to the other side of the break, Carl? Can you hang on for us?
Because I want your response to this.
And I want you to
question.
suffer through Pete singing us to this. Go ahead, Pete. Give us something. Sing us out, Pete. Love
me.
and happiness.
Love and happiness. If you want to be loved, put in the work. And don't put in a timer that determines.
Call the OG, man.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want to be loved right, brothers, don't put a timer on the wait to figure how long it's going to take.
Get off the calendar.
It takes her to love you. You
we'll
know
be
what
right
I mean?
back.
Get off the
News
calendar.
Radio,
I
reality
can't get over
radio.
that hat. I can't get over
we'll
that
be right
hat.
back.
I want that hat.
Dude, man.
Hey.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/hereforyou.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
Hello, Tampa Bay. This is Ainsley Doe with Florida Realty Unlimited. As a broker with 15 years experience and a veteran of the Navy, I do understand your needs. Real estate prices are up. So if you're thinking of selling your home, call me for a free market analysis. If you're planning to buy a home, please call me for a free buyer's consultation. For more information, call Ainsley Doe at 813-546-1954. Once again, the number is 813-546-1954. Or check my ad out in the In Touch Group.
Wait a second, I got.
All right, we back with Carl on the air and the whole bit with us. Carl, I was going to ask you this question. You know, they just put a apartment.
Can't hear. Hold on for a minute. We can't hear live. It's not coming through. Carl, you there?
All right,
Yeah,
Carl, listen.
we'll go ahead and go forward. And you just work, see,
All right,
and let our engineer work on that.
Here's what happened, Carl. They just put a brand new.
Hold on, we may need to go. Carl, I apologize, but we were talking about the engineer. We need to go ahead and conclude the call at this point in time.
right.
We appreciate you
Glenn,
listening.
Let me tell you what happened. I
and,
want your opinion on
thanks
that.
a lot, Carl. We appreciate you.
Let me tell you what happened. You know, downtown they just put a brand new apartment building on the corner of Tampa Street and Tyler.
Okay.
That the University of Tampa students took over.
Okay.
So they ran out of room. I ran into a couple of young ladies and a brother. They had moved in and they got some little shops down there. So I asked them, first of all, what they thought about the university, and I asked them what they thought about their apartments. And then I asked them, what's your opinion of affordable housing that people can live in a building like this? And one of the things they told me was, why can't more black organizations and developers get together and build their own apartment towers of affordable housing like this? And you know what? I thank them. No, I thank them for the answer. I thank them for the answer. You know why?
Here's the answer. Here's the answer.
The color of the law?
The color of law. The color of law. This is Richard Rothstein, The Color of Law. This book chronicles the history of how American government used the process of home buying, financing homes, and authorizing the construction of subdivisions to segregate America. HUD, the American Housing Association, and how they all put in all kind of requirements. Now, the reason I bring this up, Pete, this is a book that we're reading in the Toba Leadership Institute.
Okay.
But it goes back to the 1800s about how the federal and state governments forced people to remain segregated by restricting who could live with who. And this book talks about in 1998, Pete, they removed the last racial restriction for government housing in Miami. And so when these people are talking about, well, why can't people come together? They have to realize you're trying to undo at the VA. Everybody was involved. And I'm going to tell you something. I remember asking this question one time. I can't think of the guy. He's a big real estate guy in Tampa that helped develop Progress Village. Not Progress Village, but Palm River and Claremelle. Right. And I remember asking him when I saw Palm River one time, I said, how did they get only black people in our entire community? When all those homes in Palm River were built, every one of them, as a mass subdivision, brand new construction, and that's late 70s. That's 70s. Every homeowner in there was black. You go back to Progress Village. Every homeowner when that was built, every one of them, down to the last person, new homes, black only. You go to Green Ridge, and you can go all over the city of Tampa, and you're going to find these developments where intentionally, through government restrictions and things of that nature, this is not like West Tampa or East
young
Tampa.
People understand that, but what they don't understand is why we keep using those kind of historical excuses.
No.
What does that matter?
Well, no, not excuse, but
Well-
you got to undo that part to understand that there's been a concerted effort. So when these young folks say, "Hey, well, why can't these organizations do it?" You have to go look and say, "Well, when a private organization goes to build a building, an apartment complex, right? Where do they get the money from? Where do they get the money from? Who approves the permit?
But we
Who
got
approves the
enough
zoning?
black business people. We got enough black entrepreneurs, corporations, the whole bit to come together and put together a project.
You
It's
sound
just-
like that, right? You know,
No,
and that's
you know what I
let
mean?
me
It's
give
just
a-
like,
let me
look
give a
at-
book. Let me give a book out again.
No, I'm
And
telling you.
Let me tell you what the book says. The book says you can have the best idea you want, but if the federal government will not insure the loans, you're not getting the bill.
I'll give you a good example. Where the Trump Towers was going to be downtown.
Yes.
That didn't go through. Then they had another one. That didn't go through. Now
Something
they're
going up there now.
They're trying now. What stopped black developers, multimillionaires, church, general organizations coming together? The zoning is there. That wasn't going to be a problem. They had the collective resources together.
I'll
to
tell
get
you
the
this.
resources.
I'll tell you this
What's
one here.
stopping us from building
Well,
when
all right,
we
all
got
right. So
money?
let me tell you one
and,
thing.
and so it's a red herring in a
Yeah.
way.
Well, no, I would
Yeah,
say
you
this.
know.
That piece of project, that's a privately owned piece of project. But let me say this though.
That's what I'm
The
talking about.
government,
private owned.
but the forces behind when something gets done, they are staggering. They are, and I didn't understand this. I looked and it said, okay, so if you can't get the VA, the FHA, HUD, the insurance folks, all those folks behind a project, you have all the money you want, because you can't build it for cash. You got to have those be able to get the economic vehicles of America to back a project to get it built.
But we have.
You
if
don't have that.
You can't tell me.
You don't have that. When you have a major project come through the city government, and our elected officials don't raise an alarm bell because there's no structured participation for African Americans, you think they're going to police something like this?
But if it's properly zoned already, no, that's the hard part is done. What I'm speaking of is just like that lot where Trump Towers thing was. Okay, we get the guy that paid off everybody's bill at Morehouse or Spelman or wherever he paid off, that guy. We get Herman Russell Construction Company, multi-thing that played a major role in building the.
All right.
You know what I mean?
I get conception.
you see where I'm going with
I
that.
say this though. Is this right now, Pete?
Kids figured it out.
You have a day planned out right now. Your day is planned out. What you gonna go do? We can't have another person come up to you and I say, "Hey, Pete, I got some better ideas for your day today." Instead of what you have planned, here's what I suggest. And typically, you have people with their own plans about what they're trying to accomplish and do. So when somebody has an idea that this should be happening, I say, great, let me know when you want to get started, and I'll support you the best way I can. But it's real difficult to go and police other folks and how they go about
in
their business.
urban schools, young people have figured it out that the black community has stopped even within our own culture
Absolutely
system.
not.
Listen to me. Hear me
No,
out.
no.
They have stopped coalition building.
No. Well,
we have lost
absolutely
young
not.
people 30 and under because
Absolutely not.
we don't want them in the coalition.
I
with us.
completely disagree.
I'm looking at what's there in reality. I
Yeah.
mean, we can disagree with it from a philosophical point of view, but when you talk to young people, that's what's there in reality. So that's why you don't have a new foundation of young black leadership under the old mold of civil
All right,
rights.
Pete, I went
because
to
of that issue.
I went to the fair last
And
night.
Republicans
I went to
don't
the
get
fair
it.
last night, and there was a protest at the fair.
Yes.
That was ongoing.
Oh,
For
Mr. young man Joseph. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Everybody was there. I can't tell you how many different organizations I saw there impact there at that point in time. I'll make this one more point, Pete. I'm gonna let you bash Joe Biden and inflation.
All right.
Further evidence of how the federal government has restricted economic opportunity as a policy. And I'm not talking we're just not going to treat you right. I'm saying our policy is we don't finance this. It is what has happened to land ownership and black farmers. It's almost impossible for them to get the major financing for equipment, for planting and things of that nature to run their farms, and they're forced into bankruptcy, and then the corporate entities come in and steal it up. We leave that where it is. Inflation, Joe Biden.
Inflation.
What's that going to do for us in 2022 and then close us out?
Nothing, because we know inflation was set up before Biden got in office. You know as well as I do, inflation, interest rate, stuff like that is set up way ahead of time. It takes 3 or 4 years to get it like that.
To get the benefits or impact
and
of
so
it.
I think the impact will come back to normal by the 2024 election. As far as presidents don't have a lot of influence on inflation as people think they do. When you look at the issue with empty shelves and all like that, we have to teach our folks, particularly African Americans, Hispanic, poor white people, we have to teach them that, look, what's going on. These big corporations, multi-world corporations, are making all the money, so they're sitting out there waiting. They can.
But is government letting them do it, Pete? And
No,
unfortunately, it is.
I don't think so.
Oh, absolutely. That deal we talked about in Tampa, that didn't happen because those folks are just nice folks. Somebody down at City Hall in every city around the country
But that's
is
our
deciding
fault.
who
Then
gets
we
it.
need to take a page from the right-wing Republicans, extremists, and stay on
When I
stuff
find me
all
one,
the time.
when I find me one, I'll let him tell me how they go about doing that. But right about now, I'm
listen,
stuck with
all
you,
right.
Pete. I don't
All right,
have me
so
no right wing
as
guy.
we head out, as we head
You
out.
got some Al Green back there, man. Give me that love and happiness,
No,
man.
we love and happiness. As we head out, don't forget the newspaper is out. You know, we took some pictures. When we gonna have our pictures
Yeah,
in the
I
newspaper?
need to upgrade.
Well, no, we took some. We got to get the boss to tell us what happened. Maybe the camera wasn't no film in there. But anyway, the newspapers are in touch. Writers, send us a card of criticism, whatever.
Send peace and flowers.
This
y'all,
is
man.
this is the only newspaper that relates everybody from 18 to 80.
Yes, they
I'm
do.
telling you.
Outstanding.
In the Tampa Bay area, this is number one with that. We have something for everybody. And when you go on the radio station, look at that.
Uh-oh, there we go. That's what I'm
Love
talking
and
about,
happiness. And you better
Look, Reverend Al Green.
hey, he better get on that before the roses go up in price. How about Benny King?
Oh, yeah, man.
How about Larry Graham?
Oh,
You remember
yeah,
him?
Yeah, he asking for his time.
Yeah. Oh, well, he old enough to remember Larry
Yeah,
Graham.
yeah, he getting there, man. He getting there, man.
Do
He
you
trying
remember?
to make me give him this hat with that.
I'm
down
going,
on there,
man, look, I'm going to get your hat and DJ's car and roll the windows down. I don't care whether it's 20 degrees outside. I'm styling today. Meow.
All right, appreciate
Meow.
y'all. Intex News Radio, reality radio. Everybody
Did
can
you
be
hear
a
the
star.
cats in the background?
Yeah, man.
Meow.
We'll
That's
see you
what I'm
next week,
talking
y'all.
about. All right, we'll be
Have a
back.
good day. Oh man, that's
Happiness is when